Hey, welcome everybody. It is 7 o'clock Wednesday, time for Sci-Fi still, and it is officially Halloween month.
It's Halloween month.
I know I
Woo!
should have I meant to change the background to something Halloweeny, but next
Yeah, we
month,
probably should.
next week, next
That's
week
right.
I will.
Hi, Doc. Hi, Bill.
Hi guys, welcome already. So this we're starting off with one of the movies that Mary Beth's been bugging me to
I
do.
wanted this movie. I like this movie.
So called Signs. It's from what 2002, I believe.
2002. Yeah.
So it's quite old. It's 12, 22 years old now.
Yeah, this
So
thing's 22 years old. I can't believe
But
it.
before we get to that, and this was a make me watch, by the way, because I'd never seen it.
It
Um,
was.
make me
Yeah.
watch. So before we get into that, I think you have a little bit of news.
I have a little bit of news, not too much, but we've got stuff we can discuss tonight, guys. What is up recently? We have just lost Maggie Smith, Chris Christopherson, and John Amos, kind of all 1, 2, 3 in the past week. Maggie Smith passed at the age of 87. Chris Christopherson, I'm not sure how old he was. And John Amos was, 80, I think so too. And he was in Blade. And that is another one that we have been kicking around. Chris Christopherson was in Blade. And we had been kicking around maybe doing that as part of our Halloween. And then John Amos was, he was in a million things, but we probably loved him best from Roots or Coming to America. You'd know him if you saw. The name isn't ringing a bell. As soon as you saw him, you'd know exactly who he was.
Yeah, he was also in probably more well known for it was the Good Times, right? It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was in that and Coming to America, like you said.
Yep. The McDowells.
The McDonald's. Good Times. Yeah.
Oh, we're losing them. We're getting old, Rizzo. We're getting old.
Well, that's just it. Everybody's getting old, so including us.
All right, moving on. Stranger Things. They're still trying to get their 5th season going here. It's not due until next year. And as we've already
they're going to be like grandparents by the time.
They have enlisted Frank Darabont. He is a highly acclaimed filmmaker. He's the filmmaker behind 1994 Shawshank Redemption. And a number of other fantastic movies. He has ended his 11-year retirement for Stranger Things season 5. They dragged him out of retirement to do 2 episodes of, I don't know how many will be totally in the season. He confirmed that he's dusting off his director's cap and returning to the small screen. He says the story starts with Will and it ends with Will. It's really fun because everyone's back together in Hawkins. The boys and 11 are all interacting more in line with the way they did in season 1. He said, yes, there may be spin-offs, but the story of 11 and Dustin and Lucas and Hopper and all those guys, their stories are done. It's done. No more. That's it. So I am looking forward to this final season if they can ever get it out.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to go the way of like Umbrella Academy, where it's like, okay, we're going to give you like 6 episodes just to get this done and say we did the 5th season and that's it, and that's all you're going to get.
And I gotta say,
probably should have wrapped up before now. Yeah. It isn't just dragging on way too long. This is like Game of Thrones. Remember we had the split season that was like a year apart. We got like 6 episodes, and then like a year and a half later, we got like another 6 episodes or whatever it was. Or 4 episodes.
Exactly. And when remember in Sopranos would give these really big gaps in between. And you'd be like, I don't remember what's going on. Yeah.
Exactly. You forget. Yeah. These things fall off your radar.
Yeah. And when there's only 6 episodes or 8 episodes to a season, like what? I don't know, man. Half the time I feel like we're getting gypped. I don't know. I miss the days of 20 some odd. 22, 23.
Well, that's the thing. You wouldn't, and that's what we talked about with shows that you can do have some crappy episodes in there when you have, your musical episode. When you have 27 episodes,
right? Because then somewhere on episode 17, nobody really cares.
If 10 episodes, then they better be 10 pretty good episodes.
10 good episodes. Speaking of long gaps, 20 years after the first Chronicles of Riddick, actually longer than that, because the first time we saw Riddick was in Pitch Black, I think. But 20 years later, more than 20 years later, Riddick Furya, F-U-R-Y-A. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's Furya. That just started production supposedly in August. So I guess we're getting more Riddick. Yay. Yeah. I enjoy Riddick. That's fun. Spin-offs and stuff. The Boys, which I love that show. They have Gen V. Gen V is coming back for season 2, so it'll be there. launching another spinoff called Vought Rising. Vought Rising will go back to the 1950s and chart Vought's corporation's rise to power. And then they also have another spinoff series in the works under the working title, which does not excite me, but it's called The Boys: Mexico. What? Why? What's going on?
You know, stuff like this starts. This is when it starts to become a money grab. They have a good show. They had the one spinoff with what was it, the Gen V, which wasn't bad.
Gen V is okay.
They did work that into the Gen V storyline into the last season.
They did. Yep, we saw some of those characters. Yep.
But yeah, it's just you start. I don't know. I just think they're gonna water it down so much. We're gonna be like, it's just like Walking Dead when they started coming out with spin-offs, and it's just
this article as it says the promise of this new spinoff will inevitably hurt the stakes of the main Boys series final season, and that's possible. The Boys was conceived as a parody of the sprawling cinematic universes launched by Marvel and DC, kind of mocking them, and they did especially mock it this past season. And mock the studio's penchant for announcing endless sequels and spin-offs to keep their brand alive. And it's ironically become a popular enough show that it now is launching endless sequels and spin-offs. Yeah. So it's like they've become what they
are making fun of.
They became what they, yeah, exactly. Because it's so weird.
The studio execs, they smelled the money in the water, and they just can't. They can't take something and
but that's the thing. There is money in the water. If all of us just like turned our backs and said, you know what, this is stupid, we don't want it, they wouldn't do it. But apparently there's an audience.
I think with recently though, I think they're starting to see. I mean, when you look at what happened with the Acolyte and other, and in particular in the Disney side with Ahsoka, and they're making stuff that they're punching the stuff out. They're not doing it in a quality way, and people are not watching it.
Yeah,
they're not watching it. So I think there is some backlash. I think when you see a movie, I keep bringing it up, but when you see Wolverine and how well Deadpool and Wolverine did, that should be, if anything, that should be a wake up call to the studios. Are going, okay, what did we do right here? We actually had people that knew the genre and wrote what the fans wanted to see. And kept to the comic books, and But I think in general with that movie being kind of aside, I think I'm personally getting a little burned out on the whole superhero thing. Not The Boys.
Yeah, superhero fatigue.
Outside
superhero fatigue is a thing, and it's been a thing for a while now. We've talked about that on our show before, the show before.
So I'm just not excited about anything when superhero wise. Yeah, another Batman movie. Gee, they haven't done that before.
Yeah, right. Are we gonna see his origins again? It's always every time they launch a new, it's always the origin story again. Like, no, I'm over the origin story. Move forward, move on.
Yeah, it's like
I want to see the ending story. Maybe this
or now we're seeing Joker movies.
Yeah, now we're gonna get the Joker's origin.
I will say, and I don't know if I brought this up last. I know I talked to you about it, but I don't know if I brought it up on the show. But I watched the first 2 episodes of Penguin. Which is on HBO.
Oh, yes, you mentioned that. You said it was quite good.
I don't know if anybody else will watch it, but I watched the first 2, but I like it a lot. I think it's really well done. It's not the Burgess Meredith or Danny DeVito versions of the Penguin.
It was Danny DeVito.
And we haven't really gotten to him being the Penguin. He's just a mobster at this point. But it's Colin Farrell plays the lead role. He's in so much makeup you won't recognize. You would never recognize him, but he's really, it's an interesting story. The storyline alone, even if you just said this isn't Gotham City and it has nothing to do with Batman or Penguin, the story just by itself, I think, stands alone of what's going on. It's kind of right now, it's like a mob show.
All right.
So anyway,
I might check that out. And then finally tonight, guys, it's October 2. That means we're about a month out. Those of you who are here in the United States, about a month out from a really important election in this country. Please be registered to vote, and we'll see you all at the polls. Bill is here. Alex here. Chris is here. Hi, Bronson Wright Wolf. Thanks for subscribing. That's cool. And Chris is here. And who else? All right, Rizzo, what are we drinking?
Oh, what are we drinking? Right. Well, I was really racking my brain. We've done so many alien-oriented drinks, so I thought, it takes place a lot in the cornfield. So I thought something corn oriented. So this is
Nice.
I've never tried it. I don't know if it's any good, but there is the original website that I pulled it from. I don't make up this stuff, so I feel like I have to give some kind of credit to the people who do come up with this stuff. So if you want to go and see and look at their website and get the actual how to make this thing per se, I highly recommend you going to
with actual corn kernels in there.
Actual corn. I think it uses like corn water or something.
Simple syrup.
You go to the cafeteria after the kids, they gave out the corn. There's the water.
It's got backwash on it.
You can't drink out of that. Yummy.
So wait, is there an alcohol? What alcohol comes from corn? Can you ferment corn?
Are you kidding? Grain alcohol.
Wait, sorry, my brain is drawing a blank.
Corn is a staple of moonshine, basically.
I know what potatoes do. I know what wheat does. I know what hops do.
Well, no.
Moonshine.
Moonshine is basically made of corn, and I believe
so. Basically,
grain alcohol. Grain alcohol, I think,
burn out your entire.
No, the corn, anything with like sugar in it can be turned into alcohol.
Of course, yes.
So, anyway, so getting into this,
signs. Look, there's two kinds of people in this world: people that like signs and people that
don't.
Those that
like signs and those that didn't.
And we are.
I gotta be honest. I didn't really care for this movie too much.
Too slow for you.
Well, it's another movie that takes an hour to get to anything really interesting happening. And I know the whole side story with Mel Gibson's character being the ex-reverend, and he basically you through the course of a long story, you find out why he is no longer a practicing reverend. And of course, then it all kind of comes back together that everything was pushing him back into his faith. So, which was the story? Was the alien story just the vehicle for his journey, or was his journey the vehicle for the alien story?
Or were they even aliens at all? So yeah, M. Night Shyamalan. This was his second movie, I think, that he gave us. He was having a hot minute I don't know if he came out late 90s or definitely early 2000s. M. Night Shyamalan. When did hot second.
Wasn't that his first big?
No, I think he did Unbreakable first, or maybe not. Go ahead and look it up. But for a moment there, that he was the crowned heir apparent to like Spielberg, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
I think because he pro in 1992, Unbreakable was 2000, and Signs. So there's a big gap between Prayer with
Unbreakable, then Signs. The other one he did that I actually really enjoy is The Village. I liked that one.
Well, I'm guessing from the
Sixth Sense. We all love The Sixth Sense.
From the films that I've seen, where is The Sixth Sense? When the hell was that? It's not even saying that as his. Maybe because he was director and not producer. Hang on, I don't know.
What are you looking up?
I'm looking up The Sixth Sense. Oh, that was 1999.
Yeah, okay, so Sixth Sense
was the director though. He was not.
We all love The Sixth Sense. The
Sixth Sense was great, and like I said to very bad. That's one of those movies. Once you've seen it once, you kind of really don't need to see it again because you don't have the big reveal.
Lady in the Water was meant Last Airbender. People universally panned, and they didn't like it.
Still saying he was being compared to Hitchcock. I think the problem that he ran into, maybe, and this is just me, is his movies tended to be a lot of the same. I wasn't seeing a lot of different. It was always kind of the same slow kind of movie that chugged along that eventually ended in some kind of twist.
Yeah.
Whereas Hitchcock was brilliant because not all his movies were the same. In fact, we've been thinking about doing some Hitchcock movies for Halloween.
We need to, yeah, I would love to do Rear
We're thinking of
Window
doing Psycho or The Birds, or even
or The
both.
Birds, Psycho, The Birds.
Yeah.
I don't know why, I just have always enjoyed Rear Window. I think it's a
Rear
really good.
Window, they're all good. That's the thing. They're all good.
That's the thing. All of Hitchcock's is good. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
mean, if you're gonna do it, you could do a whole month of Hitchcock, and then you got to end it with High Anxiety.
well, of course.
So,
but yeah, so and he's still going. He just recently had out Knock at the Cabin and The Watchers, and he's got another one out now. So he's still out there making movies, but they can't all be hits. Some of his stuff was really, really great. Some of his stuff wasn't. And that's okay. That's kind of par for the course in Hollywood. But this is one that was definitely one of the more popular movies. It was a budget of $72 million. It grossed $408 million at the box office, and that is officially a hit. I like its slow quietness. I think it builds tension. I think it builds suspense. It gives you a lot of time to think about things and ponder things and wonder about things. And I like that. He does exactly what Spielberg does with the shark and what other great movie makers do with their monsters. He does not really show a lot of the monster. Hardly. When you see a leg, you see a silhouette on the roof, you see a leg in the corn, you see the movie from Brazil, the home movie from Brazil. It just walks across really fast. That's all you see. And then at the end, you see it like reflected in the TV. I guess there are some straight shots of it at the end.
At the end, they pretty much reveal. I mean,
they pretty much revealed it. Yeah,
a little underlit.
Well, yeah, but that's on purpose. I think. I just don't think he likes to show.
No, it's not on purpose. There's no.
He also confesses that he does not like to use CGI, and he had to use it for this film, and it was like a learning curve for him. Like there's actually behind the scenes where he's like, okay, so they're filming that scene. Yeah, and he's like, all right, guys, so let's shoot all the alien stuff first. And all the guys, like all his crew, are like, we can't. We got to shoot all this other stuff first because of the CGI, because it's the way movie making is made when you're doing it with CGI. They're like, we got to shoot all this other stuff first so that we know where to map in things. And he was like, oh, okay. So like, you could just tell, like he was literally learning on the job.
It gives them the head start to start producing that part of the film while they're still shooting the stuff that doesn't need CGI. So yes, because even the crop circle stuff that they did was they actually did it.
Yes, the crop circles were real. Yeah.
Corn was real. Remember during the 90s, I don't know if you guys remember, that was a thing. You remember the whole crop circle thing?
It's still today, yeah.
Yeah, it's clearly I think it's been debunked as it's hoaxes, so to speak. Of course, the premise of this movie is that they were popping up all over the world. I found it laughable. I'm sorry that at least their interpretation of why the aliens were making the crop circles were some kind of navigational.
We don't know that. We don't know anything about
what they were implying, and
that's just what Meryl said. Meryl's an idiot
because that's the stupidest thing. These people flew.
They never said that on the TV. Meryl says that, so that's just one guy's interpretation.
I know.
You've met people. You've met people.
So we're talking about this. This is what irritates me about movies like this. You have an alien invasion, but you're only getting it from these people's perspective is what's happening to them. And I get it that's the point of the movie.
I like that. I like that.
If you were in that situation, that you wouldn't know necessarily what was going on around the world. But as the viewer in the theater, I find that irritating because it's like, okay, they do have the stuff, showing the news and there's, it's happening all over the world. But then again, this is why I think the aliens were just the vehicle for this whole other story with Mel Gibson.
You're right, Bill. We need a little.
The whole thing lasts what? When they actually invade, the whole thing only lasts like 24 hours.
Yeah, not even 24 hours. They're
like,
in.
Oh, there's somebody in the Middle East. Use some ancient. That's what the news is saying. Use some ancient method to get rid of them.
It was
water. Which is a joke. Well,
here's the thing.
Here's another thing. Why would you even come to a planet that's 2/3 water if, in fact,
because we don't know anything about these aliens. Think about how scared and desperate, absolutely desperate, those aliens had to have been to come to this planet. We don't know what's on their tail. They could be being chased by an even worse alien.
True, but the fact that they were, as you put it, they were walking around our planet without any kind of suit.
They had no armor or guns.
Okay, weapons. So our atmosphere has a lot of moisture in it.
Yeah. That's true.
So maybe our atmosphere alone would be like getting a sunburn. If
It's
water burns their
possible.
skin that bad. Wait a minute, let me finish.
I'm
The water falls on the can and it literally almost burns through like it's xenomorph blood, right? It just the moisture in our air would be like breathing acid vapor to us.
Assuming they breathe.
I just
assuming they have respire. Oh yeah, we see it breathing at the end.
It's just doing its whole thing. It's trying to suck
it may not they may not have known what water was. They may not have never encountered water before.
Really?
If they come from a dry little rock somewhere.
Again, these are interstellar traveling people. I would think like H2O is like one of the most common things in the
and yet you don't like the other argument for this movie in that they were not aliens at all, but they were in fact demons.
That's what Bill just said. Blessed water, they're demons.
Because they're demons, yeah.
Well, unless the little girl was I don't know how they got holy water. She was drinking holy water all over the house.
No, she's an angel. Remember her birth story? She opened her eyes and everyone said, "Oh, she looks like an angel." She was an angel, so all of her water was automatically. That's the mindset you need to be in for this movie.
Oh, I can't get into that mindset.
I have the demon theory. Yeah. And they can't open doors, which kind of aligns with the lore. Like you have to invite demons and also vampires.
What do you mean? They were boarded up. They were ripping the boards off. They got into the room.
They did break through eventually, but he had trouble
all the way almost to the basement.
He finally got out of that pantry to come get his revenge.
Yeah. Eventually, he must have got out. Somebody let him out. And the other thing is like, they eventually, because remember they were like they boarded up the second floor and they're boarded into the main floor, and then they realize this isn't working, so they go to the basement, and then all of a sudden they remember, oh wait a minute, there's a coal shaft. Duh, there's always the and so they try to, of course, that's a whole jump scare thing, and I love the fact they break the one light bulb.
I know, right? He smashes it trying to get the. And then later it's like, oh, I found a pack of bulbs. Yeah, they I was gonna.
Sorry, I just can't. I can buy more of its alien invasion than its demons and angels thing going on. It's
so weird because I am not particularly religious at all. My brother's not. We both love this movie. M. Night Shyamalan is not particularly religious, and he's done a number of movies now with like religion things woven in. It's just kind of fascinating to me, like the non-religious people's fascination with religion. But yeah, they did shoot that entire basement scene, the flashlight part of it, by actual flashlights, which is kind of interesting.
It's very
and maybe difficult as a filmmaker.
It's just a Witch project. The way they did, so
it's like, you know what it is? It kind of reminds me of like a student film. You know what I mean? Like he's trying.
Well, I mean, it's well produced, so I wouldn't call it that.
Like the story's not quite completely thought out, and they're trying different things. It had that feel to it. And I say, you know what, bravo, you try. That's why it's got the same quality to me as like that. You know, I keep yapping about Vast Night on this show. It had the same feel to me as Vast Night. That
I know. I kept thinking with you. I'm like, now I know why she likes this other, because you have.
Quiet.
I find you have a genre. You have a definite thread of movies that you like. That one was okay. Again, I don't like it as much as you do.
I love it. I like Vast better than I like Signs, I think.
Chris is saying vampires and demons can't cross threshold. Well, they're clearly not, Chris, then, because they had no problem.
We got in through the window.
No problem breaking into the house. The hand came through the coal shaft thing.
Which also, the coal shaft, did it have a door? It looked like a grate to me.
There was like a grate. Yeah, that was. And then he stacked a bunch of like fertilizer.
And I know the little hand was out. You can see it once you've seen it. First time you see the hand. After that, you see the hand.
And of course, the big reveal at the end when he's got the kid, and it's the two fingers.
It's the 2 fingers, yeah.
Which, these aliens must be made out of Jello, because he just like barely and he chopped that. I don't care. That's a
maybe they don't have bones. I don't know, man.
A cleaver, I could see chopping the fingers off.
But that was a chef's knife.
Chef's knife. I don't think it's going to go through bone, but we don't know. Maybe they're cartilage.
I don't know. You have our jaws have the power to cut, like to bite through our fingers. Like we could bite.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, as somebody who cooks a lot, I know, like I couldn't cut through. It would be a lot of work for me to take a chef's knife and then cut through like a chicken bone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the bone part at the joint. Yes,
yes, I get that, but it
cleaver would do better. Yeah.
Chef's knife doesn't have the mask. Anyway, that's minimal stuff. I'm not going to pick on it for that. I just kind of did note it on my back of my brain. I'm like, but yeah.
So this thing was shot largely on location.
So the alien came after the kid for revenge.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It was gunning for Graham, for Mel Gibson,
for taking his fingers,
for chopping off his fingers. But I mean, but he was apparently one of the injured they left behind. He wasn't that injured. You think he could have rendezvoused with his?
Bill's really hanging on to the whole demon thing for you. He's saying it's about reverence. So, but Bill, then if that's the case, then how come they included the entire world apparently in this whole demon invasion?
That was widespread. You know how Lucifer is. He goes big every time. You know. I mean, Lucifer is not going to settle for Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Lucifer wants the whole damn world.
It was apparently, according to the news, somewhere in the Middle East that finally turned the tide and drove them off.
Which I liked. I really, really liked that. The one thing that has always bothered me about Independence Day, you guys remember that line in the movie? Like after they figure out, I don't know, they figure out how to, whatever they're doing. There's a British accented guy in the Middle East, and he's like, it's about bloody time. The guy, the Yanks figured something out, and he's like, "Oh, it's about bloody time." I'm like, yeah, that has always really bothered me.
I mean, well, I think
it's not always up to America.
In those situations, I think the world would look to the United States because, you know, we're supposed to be this, you know, whatever.
No, we're not. Have you met us lately?
No, I'm not saying you are, but I'm just saying I think that would be the case is that in this situation, we being the largest military in the world next to China, I guess.
Chris, go big.
You know,
hi, John.
Having a huge, you know, being a world power.
But figuring out exactly the exact premise, like the exact mechanism, how to take something down, not necessarily American. I'm sure any other country.
You know, you talk about have we done Independence Day? The one
we did it for the 4th of July.
The one thing that bugged me, and I know they meant to put it in and they left it out, was the one line that said, our computers were based on their computers because they found the ship back in the 40s.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why the software worked. Because our software was kind of based on their software.
Yeah,
and that's how they were able to make the virus and the virus.
Yeah, when Brent
otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. It's like you can't even affect an Apple computer with a virus that's designed for a PC.
Yeah, I think when
Spiner's
giving him the tour there, he says things kind of to that effect. Not exactly that.
I know we're not talking about Independence Day, but they were going to put that line in and it got cut for some reason to make it make sense.
Yeah, they should have cut it. So this thing is filmed on location largely in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. They filmed it on the Delaware Valley College. It's an actual college, it's an agricultural college. In Doyle's, PA, they filmed it on their land. They have like 40 or 50 acres where they grow because it's an agricultural college, so they're growing all kinds of crap. And here's the thing: is they like, okay, let's grow the corn. So they planted this corn, however many months before filming, so it would be big enough to make these crop circles. And the filmmakers tried this new watering technique using reclaimed water. What is reclaimed water? Recycled water? That's weird.
Water that was sewage.
Water that's probably sewage.
It was
sewage. And it worked so well that the college was like, oh, yeah. The college was like, oh, they started studying it, like how they water, because they wanted the corn to grow fast.
Yeah, but since they can't send that water, well, they won't send, even though it's perfectly clean, back to like people to drink. They use it for watering plants and other things.
Well, yeah, John says rainwater. Yeah, so whatever they did a good job. The corn grew quite quickly and quickly enough to film and they built the house and they made the crop circles and they did all that.
Yeah, there was something they said that whatever it was used, they actually, the agricultural college they adopted it for themselves in the future.
Yeah, they adopted it.
Yeah, so it worked so well. Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I mean, I can appreciate that. He said he wrote it very quickly. He wrote it while he was working on the movie right before this, which was, what did we say it was? It was Unbreakable? No. What did we say it was? I can't remember. He said as he was writing that baby monitor scene where they're hearing like the clicking on the baby monitor, he's like, okay. He goes, every movie I write, he goes, I know there's a scene that's going to get cut. He's like, I thought that was the scene that was going to get cut. and somehow it made the final. But it was like their last. It was a good scene because it shows the kids are really believing it, and the two adults. Well, Meryl's kind of he's on the fence, but Graham is definitely like, oh, this is stupid. But the kids are like, whoa. And then you see the kids. Like, I really actually appreciated a lot of the humor that was woven through the story. I like seeing first you see the kids with the tinfoil hats, and then later on Graham comes home and there's all three of them sitting there with the tinfoil hats. That was really cute.
It was funny. Yeah. Well, they kept saying they don't read their mind. Of course, there was no evidence.
There is no
that they were able to read their minds, it was funny. And yet you got the book. Remember that he found in the bookstore, and it was like a bookstore that didn't have any. Oh, it was accidentally sent to us. We had one book on Alien.
Yeah, right.
Whatever. I'm like,
we keep it here for the city folks. Like,
yeah, it came from the city folks. We keep it for the city folks.
That's so funny.
It's very close. That area is not that far from Philadelphia.
No, yeah, it really is. The movie said it's like 45 miles west of Philadelphia, and I think that is about right.
Well, I mean, a lot of Pennsylvania is farmland.
I don't know. Ask Dave Harvey. Isn't he kind of down there?
Dave is in the upper right corner near the New York border.
Yeah.
So no, he's not anywhere near Philadelphia. But
ask him if there's any crop circles down there.
I will tell you, I've been to Dave's house, and yeah, it's all farmland around him. It's all farmland.
So working with the kids have really strict on-set rules. They only have so many hours and then they have to stop. So they would do all the kids' scenes first. They did like Beau's crying, like the dinner scene where they all start crying. They did all that first. And so what would happen is after the kids were done working for the day and they just wanted to work with the adults, they would move to a swing set. And the swing set for this film was the pantry, the scene that you hate so much that you don't think the knife would go through the fingers. And so that whole scene.
I hate it. It puts words in my mouth.
You just said
I had questions.
That whole scene was done not at once, but it was shot slowly over the course of 2 weeks. Like every time they had some spare time, like, let's go with the swing set and just try to shoot a little more.
Don't you think you would have opened the door?
Not if I thought an alien was in there.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I was waiting for him to open the door.
I would have done what he did.
I mean, I don't know if I would have done what he did and stick my head and look in there like that was like you're just you're just asking for something to grab you. You wouldn't do that if there's a cat in there. Because the first thing the cat's gonna do is go stick his hand underneath it.
I mean, look,
cat owners, tell me I'm wrong.
I don't think cat's paws only reach so far. They don't go. I wouldn't have my face like right up to the crack.
He was trying to use the knife.
He's trying to use the knife as a mirror.
Yeah, that's but he didn't see anything. I don't know. I don't know. I thought for sure he was going to open the door and have
and I'm glad he didn't.
Out of a window that was in there.
But we didn't. But again, Mel was doing what all the other great filmmakers do. He wasn't showing us. It was like Jaws all over again. Not going to show you the shark.
I think you're saying he could have opened it and just seen like it just as it left through a window or something like that. Like he just.
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't know.
I suppose. They did not tell Mel Gibson that that M. Night Shyamalan himself was going to play the part of Ray Reddy. And it was kind of weird. They started filming this thing September 12th, 2001, the day after September 11th. The cast and crew held this candlelight vigil. And it was very emotional. And then they shot the scene with the wife dying. So I think it was an incredibly emotional time for a lot of people on that set. And then a little further into the shoot, they put Shyamalan in as Ray, and his grandfather had died like the day before. And so he said, in my pocket, I had a picture of my grandfather and a picture of that someone had taken of our candlelight vigil of all the cast and crew with their candles. He said, I had those two pictures on me when I did that scene. And he doesn't normally put himself in movies, but I'm okay with this casting. I think it was okay. I think he did pretty well. Although, did you notice he just takes off, he just steps on the gas and takes off, and Mel's hands are on the car door, and he just goes. I'm like, it's like he's gonna rip Mel's fingers off or something.
I didn't really notice that part.
I knew that part.
Yeah, I didn't notice. I did notice that. Well, I didn't say they were going to hire. They wanted actually Paul Newman to play that role.
Yes, they did, and they also wanted
Clint Eastwood.
They wanted Clint Eastwood, and because they wanted him to be a lot older, and they also wanted Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo was supposed to play the brother.
Yeah, they wanted Ruffalo in as the brother.
But he had
That
a
would have been
brain
interesting.
tumor
But
at
you
the
know
time.
what?
He had a
I
brain tumor.
really enjoyed Joaquin. I really enjoyed
Well,
Joaquin.
he's usually
I
very
like
good.
him as Joker. I
When
liked him as,
when he's
you know,
on, he's very good.
yes.
Ruffalo didn't do it because he had a brain tumor, which ended up being benign.
Yeah,
That's
he
why
had
he,
the
yeah.
thing behind his
So,
yeah.
but yeah, well, we know Joaquin. He's Joaquin, and he's kind of a little out there.
I like Joaquin. I like him a lot.
I loved him in Walk the Line. I thought he was great in Gladiator.
He was awesome in Gladiator.
Yeah, he was great in Walk the Line as Johnny Cash.
But did you not think it, like the scene where they think the aliens outside and they think it's these boys from town, and they're gonna go out and run around the house, and he's
yeah,
just
and what that was what's up with that?
He goes, just be crazy in Curzon Square, and Mel Gibson's like, I'm not comfortable, and you're like, have you met any of your other characters?
I know, right?
Like, have you met Mad Max or any of your other characters?
He was in character. He was playing Reverend.
It just was so weird that suddenly he was like playing against type. John, you have crop circles in North Carolina. Is it from the irrigation, those circle irrigation things, or is it actual crop circles? That's kind of fun. Moving
right
on.
Now, I think it's mostly underwater.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I hope y'all survive. Those that are down in the South.
Yeah, all our friends in North Carolina.
I know I have some friends in South Carolina that luckily their house was okay, but their neighbors and stuff did not fare as well. So he's like, we can't even get out of their neighborhood because there's trees and everything down, and they literally anybody that needs emergency services, they're flying in and out to get people out of his area.
Yeah,
so
it's
pretty bad stuff.
Bad news down there. I mean, I think it's finally draining off, but there was so much water, and nope. With the hurricanes nowadays, no part of the country is safe from that. Even here in New England, we could get that too.
Well, we had. I mean, Irene was terrible.
Yeah, Irene was terrible. Yeah,
and even Vermont always seems like every time we have a big storm,
Vermont gets flooded a lot.
A lot of comes down out of the mountains and just washes everything away. So,
moving on, a few things that they did do right, I think, in this movie. The aliens' design at first had been a little bit more feminine, and then they decided it wasn't threatening enough. They were right about that. They went back and forth on the creature's camouflaging abilities. They wanted it to be able to go fully invisible, kind of like the Predator. But then they decided, you know what, it's going to be too much effort and work. We don't like CGI, and it's going to take away from the rest of the story. So they just kind of left it at like the skin sort of changing, and that worked. That's fine, I guess. But all of the creature was CGI except for that animatronic hand. The fingers actually getting cut off was CGI. But they had the animatronic hand, and they took the two fingers off, and it was actually under Rory McCulkin when he was pretending to be, when the creature had him. That was done twice. It was done first with an actor in a mocap suit on a blue screen with Rory in his arms, and then they suspended Rory on set with wires, and they had to make it all kind of marry up, which I think is a lot of work and very hard, but they got their shot. I love the score. I thought it was fantastic. M. Night Shyamalan is always like, I don't want a score. And then he gets the movie done, and then he goes to James Howard. He's like, well, what would you do? And James Howard always says something really genius, and he ends up using it. And I actually do really like this score.
Well, they did ask him to try to do similar scores to like Close Encounters and Psycho and stuff like Twilight Zone. So he had kind of what M. Night wanted.
Yeah.
So then he kind of created the score for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on
Knight says he was inspired by Night of the Living Dead, The Birds, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He didn't want Mel on the poster, and he didn't want from the director of The Sixth Sense or anything else on the poster. He just wanted it to be its own standalone thing. And it kind of is. Our cast, really the four cast, I mean, Cherry Jones is the police officer, but and M. Night Shyamalan is Ray Reddy, but our four main cast members that we are with the most are, of course, Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix, who we just talked about, Rory Culkin as Morgan, and Abigail Breslin. And I believe this is her very first movie, as Bo. And they've all gone on to do a whole bunch of stuff. Of course, the Culkin kids are everywhere. Every time we turn around, there's another Culkin kid in a movie. But and there were a few other characters in there too, but Yeah, and
It's
that's
funny because I was watching and I'm like, the little girl is so familiar, and I couldn't figure out
she's
what
all grown
else.
up now.
Well, yeah, and it finally I had to go look at her lit filmology, and I didn't realize she was in one of my actual favorite movies is not favorite movies, but one I like a lot, which is Zombieland.
Yeah. Yes.
So, because I just like the humor in that movie. It's pretty funny, at least for me.
Yeah.
Anyway. I think
I liked some of the ancillary characters. I liked the guy in the recruitment center,
He
and I
was
liked
a weird dude. His whole acting of I don't know what the way he talked, I thought was so off.
but I just liked it. It was just funny, you know. It was
Yeah, I mean, but it was just like, and that was like a weird thing. It's like, okay, so he's thinking of going in the army, but it was like a very, again, out here, it didn't have anything to do with the story. We never saw that guy again.
Yeah, the
So
other character I really
odd.
liked was Tracy. Like she's just rambling on about, you know, and then when he gets to the pizza place, he's like, "None of you are to hang out with Tracy Abernathy or whatever her name was."
There was definitely some yucks in it. I liked the sheriff or the police officer, whatever she was. I thought her character. She's been in some bunch of stuff. I like you like her in some of the stuff. She was.
Yeah,
not
that's
huge,
Cherry Jones. She's around.
Yeah, she hasn't done. She's like one of those actresses that you kind of recognize her when you see her, but you can't really pinpoint anything she's been in.
John is asking about Sixth Sense. We have not done Sixth Sense yet. We may. And he's saying that he got lucky. Some of his friends, not so much, and it's going to take a year or maybe two to get back to normal, and probably in some parts of.
Yeah, no, it's gonna. It's gonna be. It's bad.
So, it's bad.
But yeah, I know. I had friends in Florida. They had damage to their property. They're right there on that what they call the Big Bend. Luckily, they live. I mean, it's kind of. I know we're off topic, but it's kind of they live in an actual RV, like in a camper, a big one, you know, like a big fifth wheel one.
Yeah,
but that somehow survived. The little garage thing that was next to it, you know, was all knocked over and smashed. So they had evacuated though because they were in a mandatory evacuation area. So, but yeah, so it's not good. It's not good. So.
It is not good at all.
Nope, and it's not going to get any money. Yep, we'll rebuild, of course. That's what we do.
Yep, that's what we do every time.
Every time. So I know there's some people in Anna Marie Island, which is down off in the Gulf, and you know that was pretty much underwater. Sad, but you know if you're going to live on a barrier island, that's going to happen.
You better know it's coming if you're in the hurricane. If you're in the
hurricane,
on
a barrier island in the middle, yeah, it's kind of like that's why they're called barrier islands.
Yeah, exactly. Back to signs. We can find, if you're interested, we can find deleted scenes on YouTube. If you guys have any interest in that, there is a really good deleted scene that I kind of think should have stayed in the movie where they realize the aliens are coming through the attic hatch and put a big wardrobe or bureau, whatever the hell it is, like slide it under it to keep it from. It can still open a little bit, but try to keep it. Yeah, it's the tension in that whole scene when the attack finally happens is
there was like, one the scene where you see them putting the boards up over the windows and the doors inside the house even.
Yeah.
And I kind of noticed, and maybe I was almost going to go back and rewatch it to see if I did, but I believe they were putting the boards on the wrong, what I believe would have been the wrong side of the door. So the boards were on the side of the door, but the door opened this way.
The bedroom doors, maybe. The front door, no. The front door, they had it locked, right?
From opening at all.
Yeah, I had wondered about that too. I don't know.
I think it's just one of those things that nobody's going to notice that. It was a very Ed Wood moment.
I just think it was they were just so desperate to, you know, because that's what happened. The aliens came in through the upstairs windows. They broke the windows and got into the bedroom.
Clearly, they got in. So, and they ended up in the basement. You know, it's almost like I was kind of surprised. Well, it would have been if this had been Kansas, it might have made more sense that they would have had like a storm cellar type.
Yeah, but no, Pennsylvania.
But this is just an
more
old
like New England,
a regular root cellar, I guess you'd call it, or something.
Yeah. I know.
Which should have been the most safest place, except for they seemed, they forgot about.
If they'd have been thinking, they would have just gone in the basement in the first place. But
they were thinking they probably would have just hightailed it out of there. Because if there were things creeping around in my cornfield,
he wanted to go to the lake, which ended up being the safest place. But there's the kids were like, no,
because of the water, right? Because that's true. Because the one guy, the guy that killed his wife, that's where he was going.
Yeah, so going to the lake. They don't seem to like.
I don't remember. Why did he think they were afraid of water?
I have no idea how Ray Brady got his information.
He said that, and then so
he goes, they seem to have trouble with pantry doors, and then steps on the gas and just drives away.
They can't get through pantry doors, which was, I guess, implying that they're not omnipotent or they're not invincible.
If it bleeds, you can kill it.
We've learned that. If a pantry door can block it, then they're no more powerful than a human.
But again, it didn't have weapons or anything. It didn't even know how to defend against a baseball bat. So it had to, I guess, punch its way through those bare. I don't know.
We don't know how it got out. One of his buddies might have came and let him out.
Yeah, I don't know how it got out of the pantry, and then I don't know how it got into the. I don't know how any of the aliens got into their house. They had to
by the time at the end, they had opened up the door. He walked outside. He looked around. He said, "Oh yeah, it's clear." So the door was.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then the windows were broken too.
And then he came and they were turned around and decided to pick up the kid who was having the asthma attack.
Yeah.
And that's what saved him because of the poison gas or whatever they emit.
Yeah, because he had an asthma attack, so he didn't breathe any of the gas.
So he didn't breathe. How convenient. Signs.
It's all a sign. Signs. But what is it a sign of? We don't know.
See, that's what I say with M. Night. He does all his movies. He just leaves these clues throughout the movie. We should do The Village.
I wonder if you would hate that as much as
I think I need a little break from M. Night for this.
We did one M. Night. It's not like we did Aliens.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. I'm good.
Predators. I wanted to do a whole M. Night month one time. You were like,
no, I don't think we're gonna do that. Because this stuff is, first of all, aside from this one being aliens, the rest of the stuff is more sci-fi, or it's not sci-fi, it's more horror. And a little bit, so I kind of
he's a weird. He's right on the bubble there.
So anyway, I don't know. Anyway, I don't dislike his stuff.
Bill's right. Night of the Living Dead, they end up in the basement.
It's a common place where people end up.
It's a common place where people end up. The problem is if it's a basement like a New England basement.
Generally, is, I think, because basements don't have a lot of points of entry. You either have the stairwell that comes down, or you might have some small windows or a bulkhead.
And you may have a bulkhead. Maybe.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's usually defensible, at least if you have to hug.
It's where I would go if there was a tornado. Luckily, tornadoes are extraordinarily rare in this part of the country. If this had taken place in Kansas, there wouldn't have been a basement. I lived in Kansas and Nebraska. Those houses
they would have probably. I would have thought they would have don't they have?
I lived in Texas and we didn't have a basement there either.
Well, I mean, usually Florida, nobody did because they were underwater all the time because the water table's too high.
Yeah, and also you're in limestone.
I mean, I would think, I don't know, I didn't in Twister they hide in the barn with all the.
In Twister, it was a storm cellar, and then the barn. Yeah.
Well, so I mean, they would have some kind of bunker for that purpose, specifically
we
for.
We should probably do Twisters at some point. I still haven't seen it yet, but.
The new one or the original?
We should do both. We should do Twister and Twisters together.
I bet Alex would want it because I know she's
as a double whammy night, a creature double feature night.
We have cows.
Cow.
I think it's the same cow.
Cow.
The same cow. Universal had a great ride. I don't think it's there anymore. They had a Twister ride that was really good. It was well done, I thought.
I never got to see it.
Ever been down there.
My final thought on science, I gotta say, I completely disagree with the whole. Graham has this whole speech where they're on the couch and Meryl's like, "Can you just comfort me?" And Graham goes, "People break into two groups, and the first group sees something lucky. They see it as more than luck, more than a coincidence. They see it's a sign, and the other group sees it's just pure luck." But what he specifically says is he's like. The first group, they deep down, they feel whatever happens, they're on their own and it fills them with fear. And the other group says, deep down, they feel whatever's going to happen, there'll be help and it fills them with hope. And I got to say, I completely and radically disagree.
I think his point was
I don't think if I know I was alone, that would not fill me with fear.
You either have faith or you do not have faith.
You either have faith or you don't.
The religion is based strictly on faith, that you believe this unequivocally,
based on zero
without
evidence,
without whatever. And then there's the people who just don't believe that without any proof. You got to show me. And I think that's the point he was making. So the people that have faith will think God or whatever you believe in is going to save us and everything will be fine in the end because I have faith. The people that don't have faith are like, we're screwed.
No, but there's people without faith who can still have hope and be like, I think we can figure this out. I believe in my fellow human beings. I believe in humanity. When the situation clearly looks like, and in this situation, until whatever happened that drove them off, then you probably most people are like, we're screwed. But again, we don't know. They didn't show this. Again, we don't know. We never knew enough about the aliens anyway. So we know nothing about.
We didn't know the military didn't. They didn't even say the military tried to shoot one down and couldn't shoot one of the spaceships down. All they said is they were invisible during the day, apparently, because the bird flew right into it. Remember, there was the whole thing where the bird just hit it. I guess. And then at night they put lights on it apparently, so at night they don't mind being seen. But
which I've always wondered about that. If
that didn't make any sense to me. Why do you want to be visible at night and not
be a light? And why would the light be in the spectrum that our eyes can see? Wouldn't the light possibly the lights be in a different light spectrum?
Depending on what spectrum they see. That's true.
Yeah,
they could see in UV.
If an alien ship needs lights on it, that implies a number of things. That they're lighting it up for the same reasons we light our aircraft up.
Maybe it was just maybe their whole point was to generate terror among our population to destabilize it.
Possibly.
We don't know how long they were visiting before we implied that
started making all these crop circles.
They were kind of the gray aliens that people always were abducted and stuff like that. The grays, as they call them.
Which people also think
coming for decades in preparation for this harvesting, as it was.
It's been a hot minute there, Grays. You guys either need to leave us alone, or make your move here.
Well, I don't think we have anything to worry about because you notice it's all that seems to have kind of gone away now that everybody has a freaking cell phone and a camera, and we don't really see.
Yeah, Michael Kudo was saying that too.
We don't see all these aliens.
Still no pictures of Bigfoot.
Still no pictures of it because, again, I think whether you believe there is intelligent life or life at all in the universe, and I believe there is life elsewhere, whether it's intelligent or not, is up to.
Well, yeah, the Drake equation pretty much guarantees it.
But I mean, there must be some form of life somewhere else. The problem is, even if it's intelligent, and even if it's at the point where it can do space travel, the distances we're still talking are
astronomical,
insane.
Are unfathomable.
And I don't think people really get that. It's like you literally would have, you'd be traveling.
We watched too much sci-fi with warp speed and jump to light speed.
Fiction thing, you can just zip across the galaxy in 2 seconds, but the reality is it's not. And yeah.
So what do you think? Any final thoughts on M. Night Shyamalan?
It wasn't a hard. I didn't hate it, but I just was kind of doing a lot of sighing in it. And again, I started this thing where if a movie's slow or it's a monster movie, I always say, all right, how long are we going to go into this movie before something actually freaking happens of merit? And people are just
right at the top of the movie. Why were the kids just randomly?
When you take out the credits, it's an hour and a half.
It is a long movie. Why were the kids just randomly screaming at
an hour and 45 with credits? It's not a long movie at all. It just seems that way because an hour goes by and nothing happens.
I like long and quiet and waiting to find out. But you know what? Here's the thing. I love me a good UFO story. I enjoy Close Encounters, of course. Fire in the Sky, love it. What was that other one? The Fourth Kind. I love me a good alien UFO story. So this was kind of right up my wheelhouse, my alley.
Okay. Well,
that wheelhouse that's up an alley.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind them. I guess I like them to make sense, I guess. And this one
No.
really
Alien.
didn't.
Nothing's gonna make sense about an alien.
Well, I mean,
They
I
make
don't
no
know.
sense.
I was a
They're
fan
alien.
of damn it, the show and the
Give me a hint.
I'm having one of those brain fart moments. I'm sorry.
Give me a hint.
Mulder and Scully there.
Oh yeah, X-Files.
Yeah.
They did other things
I was
besides
an
Alien.
X-Files fan, want to believe and stuff, but
yeah, Bill, this is a thinking movie, not an action movie. Yeah.
Is it though?
It is. It is. You're supposed to be taking in all the religious iconography.
I was just like, so the whole movie was just him getting.
You're supposed to be understanding the double entendre of the title and.
Okay. Just didn't speak to me, I guess. Maybe I will give one Claire. I mean, I did when I was sitting there. I go, I imagine this movie would have a bigger impact if I had seen it in the theater rather than at home in my living room, because I was not as immersed in the environment. So I was not frightened at any point. They said like one scene, the birthday scene was like the scariest moment.
Yeah, it probably was the biggest.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't that scary.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to admit, I don't believe I saw this in the theater. I've only ever seen it at home, and I still find it impactful.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I think it might have had more of a significant impact on me had I seen it in a darkened theater where you tend to be more immersed in this film. Where I'm a firm believer that seeing something in a theater in that environment, pulls you into the story more, and it makes you more part of it.
I probably would agree with that. Because I gotta admit, I loved Deadpool. I mean, I deliberately chose to see Deadpool and Wolverine in a theater. I chose that.
That was the first. I told you
because you have to.
In the theater.
Speaking of our audience, you guys, you've all seen it by now, right? You've all seen it. Please go see this movie so we can talk about it without spoiling.
It's supposed to drop, I think, soon on streaming. I don't know when.
Did it already drop? Wait, let me look it up.
No, I don't think so. They said it was going to go October 1st, and I think they yanked that. If you haven't seen it, if you like Deadpool at all, you're gonna love this one. So,
how to watch Deadpool Wolverine and when you can stream it on Disney? It's available for rent or purchase online starting on October 1st. So yesterday, it is not free or cheap yet. I'm sure it'll be like $20 to rent.
Imagine Disney will show it. By the way, interestingly enough, Disney, the license they had for Raiders, the original 4 movies of Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's expired, so they are no longer available on Disney Plus. Only Destiny you can now watch.
Interesting.
Saw that.
One last side note, guys. It says Disney has yet to announce when subscribers can start streaming Deadpool Wolverine on Disney Plus, but all other Phase 5 Marvel movies came about 3 months after, which means it should be on Disney Plus around October 26th.
Of course, this was a lot more popular than those.
Fair point.
So they may push it back to like the holidays or something. Anyway, whenever you get to watch it, it's even worth renting. So
rent it. It's awesome. We need to talk about it. I mean, we need to talk about it on this show.
Yeah, I was just waiting to have it percolate a little bit. We can talk about it at some point. We can do it maybe after the Halloween. Maybe it'd be a good round. I think it's a good one to do around the holidays.
If Deadpool Wolverine's coming October 26th, we'll do it in November.
Yeah, something like that. We'll do it around the holidays, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'd be a good one for the holidays.
Next week, I'm kind of feeling some Hitchcock next week.
Oh, you want Hitchcock? I thought we were going to go Blade Trinity.
Oh, we were going to do 3 of them, the Trinity, you're
the one that was like, you got to watch all 3.
Then you told me no, you didn't want to do that because you thought.
No. I just told you don't expect stellar research for that.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you rather have us do Hitchcock, either Birds or Psycho, or would you rather have us do Blade?
I'm drawn for some Birds or some Psycho. I mean, Hitchcock is. Oh, John just says yes. Talk about it. I think he means Deadpool.
Yeah, I think he means Deadpool. And I realize we're delayed a little bit, or they see us delayed, so to speak. Anyway,
he wants Rear Window. Alex does. Okay, we got 1 vote for Hitchcock and 1 vote for Blade.
Alex wants Blade. Rear Window, Psycho.
You voted twice, though.
Hey, it's not. It's not.
No, it's all right. Oh, Howling versus American Werewolf in London. Oh, The Howling or Hitchcock.
The Howling versus those are very different werewolf movies.
Those are straight up horror. Yeah, I don't know if we.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't call The Howling straight up. It was kind of. It's a little comical.
Yeah.
In some points, it was.
Some points.
Yeah. Those are good suggestions, though, Chris.
Well, we've got 3 votes for Hitchcock and 1 vote for Blade. I say we do Hitchcock next week and Blade the next
week. We got more than one show to.
We have many weeks to fill.
So maybe we'll do. Anyway, I'll surprise you. Let me think about it since there was no really one.
We have 2 votes for Psycho. 3 votes.
Oh, it's all the same person.
John, you can't do that.
It still counts as one.
Then Nick says I like Blade. And John's still pushing for Psycho.
So, I get it. We'll definitely do some Hitchcock before the end of the month.
We absolutely will. Halloween's a great month for Hitchcock.
All right, it's after. Oh, did we mention poor Roy's mom is not doing
well? No, we did not. Can we do that right now?
So if you know Roy, his mom is not doing well. She's in the hospital. So if you know Roy, please pass on some goodwill.
Yeah, give some good vibes to Roy.
That's your thing to his mom. So
we are still hoping to do our annual crossover episode.
That's sorted out. So, all right. On that note, I think we'll close it out. Did Phil have anything? You know, you're talking about.
Oh, Roy postponed Conan, or what was it, Conan, because of his mom, and so he's gonna do that. And Phil is gonna run his full interview with Annie Haslam tomorrow from 4 to 5 to kick off her Renaissance tour, which starts on October 19th. So look for that on WUSB Story.
All right. Well, on that note, we will say good night, and we'll see you next week. Until then, stay safe and live long and prosper, and may the force be with you always.